And a good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the WTRL Team Time Trial number 122, Watopia Figure 8 well-known course. Some course records definitely out on this map. And got a little bit of climbing in there, a couple of punches. You got the Watopia forward, Watopia reverse, old school when it comes to the climbs out there. A little bit, well, also pretty old school when it comes to Ocean Boulevard, getting it thrown in the middle there to create the figure 8 course, but definitely very long-standing Watopia course. I think a lot of the riders be familiar with. Dave, Nathan Guerra, Dave Towle next to me. What do you think of the course today, Dave?
Straight ahead 30K. I think that at this time in the season, it's great for the teams to get some work in. And this course really gives you a nice platform to do exactly that, Nathan. As you said, this is about as OG as it gets for courses out here. The elevation gain is right mid 200s, 251 is what they've got on the books, slightly under 30K of racing. But Nathan, these are roads that you are incredibly familiar with. I guess we're really going to get a chance to break down team time trialing here for the 122nd week in a row. That is awesome. And you can feel the energy starting to build very quickly. Just wanted to give a shout out to someone who's part of our family. We were talking about it before the show. It was so cool, Nathan, to see Ashton Lambie riding a sub 4-minute 4K. This is kind of, for me, I feel as excited as I would hope people were back when the 4-minute mile was broken. This is a huge achievement for human beings, a blue ribbon moment. And Ashton is someone who's been a part of team time trialing out here on Zwift, Esports, next team. But obviously, these achievements surpass anything that I could have ever imagined. So good job, Ashton. Ashton Lambie, we're
awesome.
talking about. Yeah.
Ashton Lambie out there setting an amazing record, and really cool to see somebody who's a part of the community with Zwift and the broadcast that we've put on here set some a new benchmark.
Did you see?
It is a Roger Bannister moment. It is a Chariots of Fire moment, really, when it comes down to it.
Chariots of Fire.
I mean,
heck yeah. 64.
I want to know who is he like? Now they had like a group kind of pushing each other as far as the story goes that we're told through the movies, etc. I'm wondering if we're gonna have this. Oh, now something similar to what we saw with Everstein, but with this situation going after. Well, you broke that because you had the mile broke, right? And then bam, 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 a bunch more people came in real quickly. Like this is possible, kind of a thing. Or did Lambie do something that's like, this ain't going to be touched for a while? And yes, I saw the pizza. I saw the gigantic chain ring.
Nathan, that's a very astute point that you're making there, because you're exactly right. It was like in the 3 months after Bannister broke that 4-minute mile, there were like 8 other guys that did it, right? So that just opened the floodgates. In this case, I think it's like exactly halfway. There's a couple people, Filippo Ganna. He's probably going to take a crack at it, or will get a crack at it. And he's got the kind of engine. I mean, he and Ashton have been dueling for many years now, as two of the fastest. I mean, I don't know how to put it any better when you say blue ribbon event, right? I think of the marathon. I think of the 100-meter. That's really the fastest man on earth. Well, this 4K, the 1K as well, which unfortunately is not as celebrated as it used to be. But what we're doing here with the team time trial, 4 men against, well, I should say 4 men. I'm thinking old school Olympics. It's really now men and women mixed, up to 8 in the format that we race with here in the WTRL. And again, 30K here. If you had a team of 8 Ashton Lambies, they might hit sub 30 minutes out here.
But speaking of sub 30 minutes, I mean, we do have, as we are jumping out on course, we are going to be in with the lattes, the mochas, and we'll jump across to a few of the others with the dopios and the espressos. But we'll also maybe visit the frappes. The closest that we've come to that is 38, though. It looks like 37 actually from NZ Bro. Whoa! Now wait a second. Is this real? Did this get set today? Because NZ Bro is on this list.
Splurtzik, which we're gonna love saying. So Splurtzik here. Nathan, remember last week when I boldly said that I wouldn't expect any course records to be broken? And I think maybe 5 were. Um, the teams have become so strong and sophisticated. So that's out of zone one. This is the team that were formerly the Cryogen Kestrels that have migrated over. I saw the note there, but Anna Russell was actually hipping us to what's going on with NZ. Bro, this is a good example, Nathan, of what you've been talking about for a couple of weeks. This is a team that's going to be a monster squad.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how this ends up playing out with this squad now in and amongst the top teams. It is a whole different world with NZ Bro showing up now. Pretty cool
It
to
is.
see. In with the lattes. Now, I do want to just highlight we're going to be jumping across a bunch. So we'll get the first half of Latte Vienna and then try and catch the end of some of the top racers in the Doppio and Espresso as well. See if we can jump in with the frappes when we get a chance. So we will be jumping around across as much of the categories we possibly can. Now, definitely want to check in with our posters because there was a little bit of work put in from Dirty Chronicle. I just need to read the joke because I'm not sure if we're gonna want to put it on screen. I haven't actually read the joke, and so we need to make sure it's okay for a second here. But
good, you're gonna do some some real producing there. You're gonna screen the joke.
Yeah, we need to
actual producing.
Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit of office joke though coming in from the Dirty Chronicle. And always love what these guys are up to, for sure. The Owls are out there as well. I want to just give a shout out to both of them for the posters that they did throw down for us. Wendy, Maria, Becky, Arlene, Pam, Elaine, Cindy, Van, Kate, and Kath out there in the Faster Over 50 crowd. And always something to highlight and celebrate for sure. And Elaine does a little bit of work for us in the background as well. For some of the stingers and stuff. So we really appreciate everything that they do. So in with Art, though, it looks like it's going to be a little while before we start getting the first checkpoints. We'll have them at the, it looks like today we are in for 8K, 16K, and 24K, Dave.
I would be surprised if the Owls submitted a poster that was risque. They're pretty straight ahead group over at the Owls.
Yeah, no risk. Risk on the Owls, that's for sure.
Just no risk.
Nice little,
yeah, just an owl. Exactly.
Just an owl. Everybody's name with their age next to it. 77 out there smashing it though. Always, I mean, it's really impressive. That's real heroes of the day.
Yeah, this is one of our all-time favorite teams. Absolutely love their energy, and keep it going, Owls. No doubt about it. We'll have a chance to follow them throughout many, many races as we move into 122. Thank you so much, as we've always got Martin in the background at Mission Control, especially if we run into – typically we don't find our flag issues on days like today. That's more Tuesdays, I think, that the flags come out of the woodwork for us. But today, Nathan, we get a nice opportunity to look at some different splits out here. Again, classic course, just a little under 30K of racing. Teams start with up to 8, and because of the time of year, we're seeing teams, actually more and more teams are showing up with 8. For a while there, it gets a little hard to get everybody organized with all the summer vacations and whatnot, but you can feel everything starting to ramp up in the teams. This is a nice job being done right here. So this should be atomic racing that we have. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, but I've got this as our latte team, atomic racing team with Lloyd, Douglas, Gordon, Jamie McCarty, Gordon McDonald, Kev Taylor, Mark Sanders, Michael Richards, Mike Davis. So this team entirely out of the United Kingdom, it looks like, one way or another. And they're quite well organized. Nathan, we'll see how they throw it up. Was it so I was wondering, were Team Type 1 Lancets, I know they had a great ride last week. They might have actually even won last week here. Although I'm thinking it was more a podium for the Lancets.
Yeah, they had second, it looks like, last week up against Vikings Valhalla. Right, it was right there and came right to the line from what I can remember. We do have, it looks like I'm going to allow this one to come through here. Thanks a lot to the Dirty Chronicle for their poster.
You're going to allow it through? All right.
And well, it's only because it's essentially what happens here is people show up into the broadcast and they're like, "Where are all the clowns you talked about?" When we get to work here, it's essentially what we're doing. So the best TTT team here
Oh, that's
on the
funny.
coffee cup. Appreciate you all the submissions coming on through, of course, always. But from Thomas Ervik, he is in chat. So great to see issue number 122. You can always check out the Dirty Chronicle. It's posted every week, actually, over in the WTRL Team Time Trial Facebook group. If you haven't joined it already, it is a great place to see everything that's going down with the TTT each week and be a part of the community. TFC, it looks like here coming on through. They are catching up to the ART, the Atomic.
Really?
Yeah, and they've almost closed 30 seconds down already on this team. So it looks like they're going to be having a solid ride. We'll be waiting for some of these splits to come through. We got to wait till that 8K mark, though, for that to happen. But it looks to me like TFC Lancaster already over the first 8 kilometers have brought back at least 30 seconds. WLC Tequila Chasers are on the chase, but they've actually fallen behind a little bit comparatively.
Wow, they are in fuego out here. That's a very good indicator. Nathan, typically to see that much time being brought back that quickly in the race, you'd expect to see a climb, but this is a very nice, as far as a team time trial start, this is perfect here as you get everyone ramped up and up to speed and into formation here. This is going to be the familiar jersey of TFC that we're jumping in with. This is a team that's done their work. I'm not surprised to hear that they're on a good day. Let's shout out. So the team comes strong today. David Hill, Dean Hardy, Jim Bovini, Joe Gent, Marina Larson, who watch out for Marina, 45 kilo. Talk about punching above your weight. She has teammates, Nathan, that are twice her weight out here. So she is a rider to watch without a doubt. Put a gold star next to Marina's name. Martin Pye, Nick Lamont, and Richard Beeston. That makes up TFC. Is Marina able to hang in there? Because the start is not ideal for her. Again, at 45 kilo, I think that's almost as light as you can set your Zwift machine to.
And she's being on the climb now at this point. She's absolutely hammered, it looks like, on the other riders.
This is her.
This is her on the front.
Souls.
Yeah.
This might be a ride of the day.
Cyclist. She's a retired runner and powered by Taco Bell, from what I'm told.
Man. So again, that is going to be Marina Larson there that we're looking at in this TFC team. Nathan was noting they are quick out of the gate here. This is going to be.
They've already dropped two riders. They've already dropped two riders too.
At the speed they're going, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and Beast to tell you the truth. How many do they have left? Bad for the question. 5 left. So, but they've already shut down 12:28 here. That's a huge amount of time to take out in just 8K.
You know, Nathan, you've been a part of these kind of rides. You want to go this fast. You unfortunately only have a few riders that can do this today. These are the 5, it looks like. Now, I don't think I would highly advise that they keep these 5 together. It's going to be nice to have that 1/5 rotation if everybody can work. But yeah, look at this. Just picking off other riders. They're not even 10K into this journey. We'll watch and see if this is going to be a course record on one of the course. I'm going to say, not that I'm going to create any work for Martin. He's so busy getting everything ready for, not so busy. I mean, Martin's always busy, but getting everything ready for ZRL Season 4. But this might be one of the most frequently used courses in WTRL history. I feel pretty safe saying it's up in the top 3.
That's a great question, actually. I wonder, we have seen it quite a few times, so maybe Martin can help us out on that one.
I'm not saying it's overcooked. It's not like I love being out here. Is this Wahoo Lacole? Sure is.
This is going to be Wahoo Lacole Tequila Chasers, WLC, and they just came in with a 12:58. So it really does look like TFC Lancaster showed up to...
Can they sustain it, Nathan? Well, that's the thing. Can they sustain with 5?
And they were only the second seed there, second to last. So there are some pretty fast teams yet to come out, right? We got Destroyer Cookies, Woolly Rhiners, TT1. Vikings Valhalla. We'll see how that matches up on the day. But if they continue on the trajectory that they're on, we'll see if it's one of the fastest first 8K. and then if they can hold on, they may be able to. They seem to have shown up to try and win this race out here today. So we'll see how TFC matches up to those later starters. This is one of the most populated races though out here today. With 12 teams starting, it's pretty awesome to see how committed this latte crew is.
Yeah, these teams really value the Platinum League invite. That's worth noting as I was breaking down the teams starting with 8 as you get a good look at Wahoo Lacole right here. Lacole, a great clothing brand out of the United Kingdom, and everybody knows Wahoo. I'm looking at one right next to me here. But Nathan, the fact that these teams like the Tequila Chasers, that's a very strong team. Typically always in the top 5. And so to see them looking at, that over 20-second deficit here tells me that it is just a storming start from look at this, though. ATP Racing Nitrogen even quicker than TFC Lancaster out here. 7 seconds quicker there. This is going to be insanity out here today on the figure 8 course that there's 2 featured climb sectors, and then this is the payback that you get, the back end reward here as we're in with Wahoo Lacole. Again, a team that is clearly ready to make a big run here at the upcoming season, the Zwift season that we look forward to. I see that they've got Chris Alec, Colin Pink, that's a familiar name. These are the Wahoo Tequila Chasers, Manning Ade and Rob Spink, all part of this Wahoo Lacole team.
I'm going to go ahead and jump back now over to the next Vikings team that is out on course here. Valhalla Riedel. 12:56 coming in from them. They're chasing down the Tequila Chasers. Only a 2-second difference between them now. But the slowest on the day. Maybe reserving a little bit. And they do have 8 over the top. I believe, is that going to be 8 or 7?
Wow.
They started
8
with...
or...
here 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's gonna be 8 riders.
It's 8.
Over the top.
It's so hard when they bunch up, isn't it? It's
there.
like counting goldfish.
Well, that may be to their advantage too later on in the race. There is the question.
They're doing awesome.
First time over the climb, do you drop any of your riders? Or you try and carry them all with you, especially with a course like this. The middle section of the course through Ocean Boulevard. Maybe a little bit more of an advantage to have a few extra riders to really build that speed up, but then drop them once it's time to hit the climb again.
I have to be honest, if you have trouble the first time on this figure 8 course, the climbs are basically the same. It's going to be most likely even worse the second time. So that's where I can understand why TFC Lancaster is going on with 5. It's not that long of a day out here. Top times will be in that 38, 39-minute range. Maybe let's call 40 minutes is a fair amount of time out here. So we've seen some team time trials in WTRL, which is the premier league. This is the platinum level of WTRL that we're racing with here. But Nathan, they've been racing almost an hour a few times over the last month or so. So we're getting back down to the more standard 40, 45-minute duration.
Got a little bit of a question coming on through here from Thomas Erdvik, and he's wondering what we think the best bike is on the day today.
What you think?
I think. Well, what do you think, Dave? I want to know what you think too. Well, I'm gonna go with.
Well, I'd use my Tron bike if I had it.
Use your Tron bike, yeah. So yeah. I'm with. People are probably gonna notice something here when I answer this question because the way that it's almost always I just default to the Venge unless we're doing a lot of climbing. I just don't think that there's enough climbing on the course like this to justify anything but the fastest TT bike, a traditional TT bike in a team time trial. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Venge with 858s, and I almost use that exclusively no matter what the course is. So people don't. I know a lot of people are like that. Like, come on, we need
that's
something
your go-to,
but that's just my go-to. It's the fastest bike. So,
Dogmas are sure popular lately, though.
They're the best all-arounder. They're the best all-arounder, and people are looking to get the best that they can out of that all-arounder situation. And maybe I need to rethink that and try some things. I think I'm a little bit stuck in comfort zone on a feeling about the 858. Maybe I need to let that go and take a little harder look at that dogma, maybe.
Martin is always Johnny on the spot. So figure 8, Nathan, 6 times in the 122 race history. So that would include this week. So 6 times. That's a popular. That's like the Jaws or the Star Wars of courses.
And it's been 2 forward and 4 in reverse, it looks like. Is that the most? Has there any other course been done more?
I knew that we would have, just speaking for us as a team, Nathan, I knew we would have a follow-up question to that. Because what other, I have to think this might be tied for the most popular course.
Volcano Flat's been done. This isn't even in the top 10, actually.
Oh, man. Well, there you go.
What I'm seeing here. What Martin just shared across, is that 19 times on Volcano Flat, 18 times on Greater London Flat. San Sequoia's been done 15 times. Is this right? Oh, wow.
Wow, it's right. Yeah, that's been confirmed at Mission Control up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's a perfect place for Martin to be.
Far away in the Pacific Northwest?
I'm just saying. No, beautiful place. I'm sure that even Martin has gotten outside, I'm sure, and enjoyed the fresh air out there. Doesn't get much better than Alberta. Well, actually, look at this.
Lancaster, 12:28. They're holding steady with the top times. I thought they might with how fast they went out. Can they hold on is the question, right, though?
Yeah, well, absolutely the question, Nathan. How about the Rhinos in full effect, slotting in with a 12:22 right in there between Valhalla and Nitrogen? This sounds like old school throwdown. So Nitrogen, the Woolly Rhinos, Vikings Valhalla, TFC Lancaster, all within 7 seconds. It's not that much further back to Cryogen. That's the Emus at a 12:38 pace at check number 1. Oh, Nathan, I feel like we're right back in the meat and potatoes of it here. So Nitrogen, again, 12:21 the fastest time. This is a great indicator of what will be a race that could go. I mean, ODZ, Destroyers of Cookies, the DOC at 12:41. They're only 20 seconds back, but in 6th place. I don't think I remember for many, many months seeing 6 teams within 20 seconds at a deep check, because 9K is pretty far in. That's a third of the way into this race.
Yeah, we have there's a third of the way in the race, 2/3 to go at this point, and only a 20-second difference. Lots can change here.
Awesome.
Over the next few kilometers. So really great to see how tight the racing is out here today. We'll get the next checkpoint coming in shortly.
You could make an argument, Nathan, for any one of those teams could win here today. You really could. Even down to Team Type 1 Lancet.
Even Lancet.
Yeah.
I think Camaro is just a little bit off pace, perhaps, to try and make something happen there. But ATP Racing Nitrogen, this is the fastest team we're looking at right now. Jones on the front, Brackens, Kroll, CC, it looks like, is going to be so steady 161. Starting to look at some of these heart rates. And all pretty calm from what we can see. Not Kroll 144, actually. Super low heart rate coming in from the rider that's on the front right now at 4.8 watts per kilogram. And looking through some of them, 179 here. Steve, here, the only one that I'd say it's really up into what is the traditional threshold or top end effort. Most of them right around probably threshold to sub threshold. As Del Jones goes to the back, slots in. As you can watch, we haven't actually spoken a lot about the tactic for those that might be newer to team time trials and the way that a lot of these teams do run it. As you can see, Jones going directly to the back. Kroll maybe also just took his pole, and you can see he's heading as well right to the back of the pack here at this point to slot in. And they just kind of rotate through all the way to the front there. As you see, Bracken's now taking over. Usually, riders are trying to hold on to the wheel they're supposed to stay on the entire time. Might be a little bit of a battle here between Jones and CC trying to figure out who's the next to go. As you can see, the rider CC and Brackens now had a little bit of a disagreement, I'll call it, for a moment there. as Kroll
Confusion.
takes over at the front again. Yeah, and maybe at the same time, Kroll was like, "Look, I can take another pull if some of there might be a lot more communication also going on with a lot of audibles being called in any moment
Sure.
within the TTT." And also the question is, if you do have a DS, someone directing who's not riding, those audibles become a lot easier. If riders are like, "Hey, I'm not good," and someone says, "I'm good," boom, they tell to go to the front immediately, and that looks like exactly what just happened with Kroll, actually.
We'll see them kind of reorganize. Let's look at some splits coming in from the midpoint right now. So Lancaster, who had that early fastest time at check 1:23:53, that's going to be the time to watch and see how that compares to the Nitrogens, the Rhinos, the Valhallas. Those other teams are all right in that neighborhood, and those times will be coming in pretty quickly here as we move through the middle part of the race here. Again, this is the category that I'm glad we've got a focus on today, because it's certainly going to be not only competitive for today, but one of the most competitive WTRL races that we've seen in a long, long time, if not ever. So our lattes really having at it. I can't wait to see. I mean, here we go. So 23:53 from Lancaster still remains the fastest. 24:36 coming in from WLC, always a perennial contender. The Tequila Chasers here. Vikings Rydell at a 24:39 and a 24:46 for ART Isotopes. That's Atom Racing Team. I think I said Atomic earlier. Atom Racing Team there. So ATP Racing Nitrogen is the team that had the fastest time earlier, but they were only 1 second quicker than the Woolly Rhinos, who only had 1 second on Vikings Valhalla. So you can see how close this one is.
Yeah, and what I'm wondering here, you got two ATPs here. One
Right.
of them
So
started right up against the other, but it's Camaro that we're looking at right here. They started behind at in the 6th slot, whereas
and
Nitrogen
then
were the 5th
Kroll and
slot.
the Nitrogen crew, right? Andy Kroll has some out of this world numbers. 4.1 watts per kilo for. I mean, when you look at his 20-minute, um, definitely one of the stronger riders that we've got in this category. So he's leading a great ride today. But is it enough? Is the question.
Back in with Cryogen Emus now. 12:38 was their last time, and they're definitely in the conversation for a win out here maybe
Look at
today.
that. Nitrogen in slower there, 7 seconds behind Lancaster from TFC.
Lancaster actually speeding up a little bit, or Nitrogen
For
slowing
sure.
down, one of the two there as they do
Or
swap
both.
spots.
Yeah, and that's that's a decent swing. That's a 14-second swing there from 9K to 14K.
Be interesting to see if Lancaster can take this down. I'll start mixing in 30 seconds. We're hearing from Wild Thing here. Team ODZ, Destroyer of Cookies now out on course. 12:41. They're still a part of the conversation. They're sitting in right around that 5th or 6th spot in just a moment. TFC Lancaster, hold on as Camaro comes on through. So still fastest time on the day, 23:53 at that 16K mark as we
It's the
watch
Rhinos and
Lancaster
Valhalla.
trying to take this down.
Sorry, there. It's the Rhinos and Valhalla that are the two that'll be looking to come over the top of Lancaster at that split. Either way, it's going to be super close. And if Nitrogen can just redouble their efforts, they're still in this. They're only 7 seconds behind there. It's just they went from being our fastest team at that previous check. So TFC Lancaster, let's see what that 23:53 looks like. That very well could be our fastest time, but they would have had to have gone quicker than 3 other teams to do that. And a couple of those teams are just about to put their check up on the board here from 14K, which is effectively the midpoint of this race.
See if we can jump across quickly as our espressos are going to be finishing up pretty early comparatively to some of our other riders out here today. So we'll see if we can jump in with some of them as they are rounding out the course. Always want to make sure that we're across all of the riders as best as we possibly can. There's actually, excuse me, an ART2 that are riding in and amongst the espresso crowd. And let's go ahead and see what kind of a
Photons?
time. Yeah, it's going to be the Photons.
Let's see what we've got here.
So
We'll
Doppio has the
pop-
lone innovation Euro aliens, and they're going to be out there smashing Watts here for sure. They're also
So
across here, so that'll be fine.
that they're racing Ghosts because actually NZebro are deep into their Friday at this point. It's Friday morning, I think, for our friends in New Zealand, but they've already ridden right to that 37:48. Was that the time that we saw earlier today? The fastest time from the Dopios?
Yeah, they came
Or,
in.
or did I have a fever dream like Pink Floyd?
No, 37:46. 37:46.
37:46. We were talking about that sub 4 minute pursuit time from Ashton Lambie. 37:46 is the time that we had earlier. So that was written in a different time zone. This is the Platinum League, which is an invite only league for the fastest times from all 16. That's 16 different zones. But Nathan, I appreciate you making the switch here because this is going to be our espressos, and we've got our INC Euro aliens with the fastest time. And that, let me make sure I've got the right team. I want to give these guys a shout out here. And I'm looking for all the riders. One second.
Evo? We're looking for Evo here. That's in front of us.
There we go. So Alan Lamont, Andrew Morrow, Colin Hill, Freddie Hick, Paul Lewis Enright, Peter DeVitt, and Rob Williams being joined by Tom Alabin there. I had them as Evo Espresso.
Is absolutely flying on the front here. Lewis Enright trying to close things down here for him. But, is this helpful is the question, right? Like,
no, you know me, but definitively no. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no physics answer that would say that's helpful. If you think you're motivating the other riders, that would be an opinion.
As Hurt Locker Hill here looks to come over the top of the climb here and trying to bring it in. I believe this is going to be most likely Colin Hill, as it's got a C in front of the Hurt Locker, like in that little bit of a play on the names here. And looks like, he's got this gap. The speed, it's just not going to really be beneficial here to have this gap over the rest of the crew.
Well, you could be using those watts to be setting a pace to make it easier for everybody else back in the group that's chasing you.
Yeah, it's true. Now Colin letting everybody know time to recover a little bit here. And they only going to have what do we got? 30K, so another 8K to go.
Very, very close here. The Waffles from TSZ slotting in 3 seconds behind there from the INC Euro Aliens. ART Photons 2120, and they are deadlocked with the Cryogen Gulls here for the third fastest time. But wow, Nathan, look how close this is. So 2108, 2111. Then you go 9 seconds back to ART. Cryogen Gulls, again, 9 seconds back, and then only 4 more seconds back to Evo Espresso. Down and Dirty Vipers with a 22:19 and then 22:48 the time for Team Italy. And it looks like that's it here. So INC Euro Aliens, they're in a real battle with the Waffles. I know a lot of people say that they battle the Waffles. Usually it's trying to keep the calories off. This is trying to keep the seconds off. 3 second split from TSZ up to INC.
Very close race out here today.
Wow,
amongst the espressos,
sure
actually. I mean, 24 to 8. Still anybody's race, as you can see here, with 8K to go to the line for this team with TSC Waffles. 3 seconds over that 24K mark. That's going to happen in a K and a half here for them. I think can easily get pulled in. Looking at the organization over the top, a lot better than what we saw from the Evo Espressos, actually. We're going to see if they ramp it up right off the bat, though. What's interesting to me is this section of course onto the downhill, you coming over the top with 5 to 6, 7 watts per kilogram and ramping the speed immediately is so incredibly important. You do see them kind of getting into that, John, here, where Very well known rider. Actually, we've seen him racing in the classics a bunch.
So strong. This is where, Nathan, you really want to take advantage of having the 8 riders, right? You get a couple seconds at a minimum if you can work together in avalanche or just keep coming over the top, carrying the speed through, using momentum. You hate to waste that advantage of having the 8.
Exactly. And also wasting the momentum through sections like this. Like there's such a speed difference as to whether or not you ramp up a little speed. It's the same as in real life as well, too. You ever notice that a pack can just roll away from you so quickly up and over the top of a climb, and anybody who puts a little bit of a punch in, that momentum, it's exponential how quickly it can start taking off on.
But you have to do it with the rhythm, right? It has to be one, then the other, then the other, then the other. It's not all 4 of you at the same time, and then a gap, and then you know what I mean? It's like just over the top, over the top. That's how you
100%.
carry that speed.
100% with the avalanche in there. Either way, though, coming over the top of a climb and going to 3 watts per kilogram, if you can force yourself to do something a little bit more or just a little bit of a punch to get the speed going right away, you're going to gain a lot of seconds over landscape that you didn't otherwise, right? Like once that landscape is gone, because once that landscape is gone, it's gone. You do not have that downhill again. So you have to use that section as best to the most efficiency as you possibly can.
And Nathan, this is how you win races, right? For some of these teams, you've got some riders that are really hurting at the top of the climb where they don't have the ability to do that. And if you want to keep the team together, you're going to give up a handful of seconds, even, or more than 10 seconds. But if you want to win, and that's when your team is really starting to get it figured out. And that's what this process is all about. But you win the races getting that extra second or two. I mean, look how close it is, right? Once we look at these splits again at the top end, you're going to see it's only a few seconds separating the teams. How do you get a couple seconds out here? Well, do exactly what Nathan said. But everybody has to be willing to hurt, man.
And there's just the reality sometimes the way that these teams do climb, they climb at over threshold and they just have to recover. There's just that reality. So a little bit of a comment.
Hey, not everybody's a Nathan Guerra. You know what I mean? Look how close this is, Nathan. So you're exactly right. I mean, if the Waffles want to win, they're going to have to dig a little bit deeper than the INC Euro Aliens with a blazing 32.16 at that 24K checkpoint. It's going to be 7 seconds back to the mighty Waffles TSZ at 32.23. And that 32.35 is the time for Cryogen Gulls. Evo Espresso hanging right in there, 32.53. So these are the teams that have really had a sensational ride out here today on our Figure 8 course. This is the OG world of Watopia, as we take a look at riders who are now into, let's call it the last 5K, maybe even a little bit less than that. We're waiting for times to come in from the Photons and the Vipers.
Nathan, 32. A little bit of a kick up in that 70K. They're doing a good job on this descent, it looks like.
They're doing what you're talking about. Watch this, Nathan. See how they're coming over the top here and continuing then to come over the top. And this is pretty damn close to what you're looking for.
They were the 6th seed, so they were the fastest coming in. We'll see what they can pull off out here today, but I'm liking the way that they're running.
Wouldn't you say they're doing exactly what you were asking for, Nathan? I mean, I'm trying to highlight.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, we didn't see what they did at the top, but yes, on that descent part for sure.
They're close.
It'll be interesting to see what they did here at the top of the climb and whether or not they punched it immediately coming over the top. That would be my question for sure there.
This is ART.
Yeah, Adam Racing.
The Photons. So, Nathan, they could have the fastest time. I think that they might be quicker than 32.16. We're going to see. I have a feeling this is a 32 into 32. Well, it's going to be very, very close. INC, Euro Aliens. Did they put the time up?
32.41.
So not as fast as I thought. I thought they were looking really good right there. But again, we haven't been with them enough to know exactly what they've been going through out here. But again, INC, Euro Aliens, 32.16. It's going to be a big ask for the TSC Waffles to beat them out here. Anything is possible.
Struggling big time out here today. They've dropped two of their riders, excuse me. They do have 4 4 left. At one point, I thought there were only 3, but it looks like they do have 4 left. They're struggling a little bit, though, after dropping those 2. And all the way back at a 34-24. Not the usual that we see from such a strong team, actually, being the 4th seed out here. So a little bit more of a struggle bus here today for the Vipers.
Yeah, any team can have that. It's a tough discipline when you talk about the team time trial. The time is taken off of the 4th rider, so it's always encouraging when you see at least 4 on the screen as they're deep into this race now as well. Only a couple of K left to go for a team that we've come to appreciate, the Down and Dirty Vipers. They're always in for a good race, that's for sure. And they certainly will have better days than today. You never know, Nathan. Even the best teams, one technical early. A lot of things can happen. 32:16 is a ridiculously fast time out here in our espresso category.
Jumping across a couple of the other categories as we can, we'll be in with the women as well. They have gotten out on course. In with the latte women, it's going to be Z Sun that are going to help us to get across over there and see how things are playing out with the lattes. The first checkpoints will come in as soon as they possibly can. Z-Sun Pluto, WTRL Watop, and Crush Pod out there on the day. Looking across over for the Viennas is going to be the most populated with the drafting dinos, Evo Meteors, Z-Sun Hydra, Live by Cycling as usual, Evo Sparks. All have almost started. Ionian Bravas and Kirchner Vienna Latte, the next to get out on course for the Viennas. In the Espresso, starting to get a few more teams actually out on course, and B2B, BBB, NZ Bro, Cheese Rollers. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out versus Cryogen and Canyon Esports. And I wonder if Canyon Esports is out here with a little bit of a new roster, testing some things out.
Well, that NZ Bro team, the Cheese Rollers, we already know how strong they are. Cryo RDT. Other one at Toyota. I don't know why. I'm so used to saying Cryo, but Toyota jumping on board is really cool to see. Canyon Esports, that's a legendary squad without any doubt. You're right, Nathan. It's good to see the BBBs back and the B2Bs. So these are the riders in our Vienna Espresso. Women well underway, actually, here. 5.6K in as the guys just finishing things up for today's Platinum League. This is the time when we've got a lot of riders out on course.
Yeah, we'll see if we can jump back in with the Viennas as well for the men to try and grab some of that. But this NZ Bro conversation, I definitely want to watch out for this. And, with who's showing up today, Canyon versus NZ Bro. I mean, Canyon being a long-standing team out there, obviously, and then NZ Bro being one of the newer teams, and then having Toyota Cryogen mixed into the middle of all that. That's going to be quite the battle to watch out for and give us a little bit of a foreshadowing, I think, of what's to come over this next season. Let's see if we can grab.
I'm taking a look, just moving over to see who we have. Oh boy, have you looked at the roster? I haven't yet until this very moment for Canyon, but some very familiar names, Nathan. As a matter of fact, every name is familiar. You've got Caroline Williams, Cecile Lejeune, Kirsten Pohl, Siri Hildenen, and Stephanie Sidlick. Huh. So that's the A team. Without any doubt, that's the first time we've seen this caliber of riders assembled together in the WTRL. Caroline Williams, straight up a gangster level Zwift rider. She's truly a lifestyle and a super impressive human being. Cecile Lejeune, the French rider on the team. I should mention Caroline Williams out of Newcastle up in the United Kingdom. So Caroline Williams, Cecile Lejeune representing France. Kirsten Pohl is from Germany. Norwegian Siri Hildenen, and then the American Stephanie Sidlick racing out of Pittsburgh. I don't know where in Norway Siri is from, but another experienced rider that brings a lot to this Canyon women's team. So that's Canyon that we're in with right now, one of the most familiar kits in esports as well. We talk about ZRL's with Racing League Season 4. This is a team. So I'm missing a rider, Nathan. I'm wondering who it is. It might be Philippa Draper. Does that sound possible?
Yeah, she's riding for Coalition.
There
She's
it
at the
is.
back of the
One of our
group here.
junior rider. That's an
Caroline
interesting.
Williams, a recent pickup. We'll see how she fits in with the Canyon Esports team coming on over from Hino. So that's obviously going to be a pickup that's going to change some
Big
things
change.
up perhaps for Hino, as Williams is a powerhouse that was a part of that undefeated team. So it'd be interesting to see where she ends up landing on this next season in and amongst and landing Canyon when on the women's side of things. You know, being such a powerhouse team on the men's side here, now transferring over some of the undefeated titles and one of the riders that has been able to make that happen for Hino. So that's a pretty big deal, I think.
I did not know this was coming, to tell you the truth. This is the biggest transfer that I've heard yet, as far as a quality rider going from one major team to another.
Yeah, no, there definitely was sought after. Let's just say that. I think
you would think.
I think there were quite a few teams that were wondering where Caroline was going. So
I don't know if you noticed, but just a couple of days ago, there's been a lot going on in the world of cycling. But another rider who we've enjoyed racing with us in esports has gone to another esports team, but leaving TIBCO is Sarah Gigante, and now with Movistar. Just made that announcement officially the other day. That's a big pickup for that U23 superstar, arguably the most talented under 23 rider in the world right now, Sarah. So Movistar and esports friendly. She's been really competitive in esports.
Second place at Worlds is no joke.
At Worlds, right? Exactly.
I mean,
so
be interesting to see how that ends up playing out with Movistar now. I mean, TIBCO being a huge part.
They have the world champion and the silver medalist now. In real life stars, esports stars. It doesn't always mix, but sometimes it. What's going on here, Nathan? Looks like a little bit of a split happening with Canyon. They're gonna have to figure, learn each other. Obviously, bringing Caroline Williams onto the team is a big change.
Yeah, we do see. I think Caroline at the back, Siri and Draper. I think the two riders trying to get back on terms. If they want to win on the day, they need to let this go. In my opinion, at this point,
I agree.
They cannot hold on. I think Siri may be struggling a little bit here, and Draper was perhaps trying to bring her back. Draper needs to come across immediately right now. 208 beats per minute. So maybe got stuck.
If you were really looking to bring, if you're looking to bring a rider back, you would send your strongest back to go get her, right? Draper's going to come back into the team. That's nice, the junior here, but this is going to be rough. No doubt about it. They are full gas talking about Canyon. That's a big moment for Draper to get back up into the team.
They're just getting started too. So letting go of a rider already, they're only 6K into the race here at this point. Not even a checkpoint coming on through. B2B coming on through with a 13:02. Now they're being down to 5 riders already. Caroline now having to hold up a little bit as everybody gets reorganized. It's going to be all about getting reorganized here without losing too much speed and hitting the climb really steadily all the way through at this point to make sure nobody blows up. This climb is going to have to just be a set it and leave it and not really attacked so much, I think, with the way that the team has gotten a little bit disorganized here. You do see NZ Bro, I think they have already opened up. Well, no, because there's no Toyota in between them. So I'm not seeing Toyota Cryo RDT. So there was actually a 2-minute difference between these two. So these times on the right-hand side are not giving you the idea of what the time gap is between 1 minute. It's actually a time gap between 2 minutes between them. So Canyon has actually brought back from what we're seeing on screen right now about 10 seconds, but that's not always true to what the actual timing is because of the climbs that are in the middle of all this. It might slow down the team that's up ahead a little bit. So
NZ Bro
having a solid ride right now.
This is a big one for them. the level of competition has just skyrocketed, Nathan, when you look at going up against Canyon out here with the addition of Canyon was already one of the strongest teams in the world. Bringing Caroline Williams over, it's interesting how you just have to adjust the recipe a little bit, and it's going to be a very fun day for NZ Bro as they're going to really go to another level. Natalie, Emily, Bridget Kittle, Colette Gascogne Spittle, Danielle Trewone, Heather Neal, Holly Fletcher, and Marcel Smithers make up this NZ Bro team. We've had a chance over the last couple of weeks to talk about this sensational story coming out of New Zealand. And here we go, taking a look at more splits. It's close as BBB with a 12:32. Oh, wow. That's big for them. There's another team, Nathan, you have to take your cap off. And if they're going to be quicker than the Cheese Rollers at that point, we'll be seeing what Canyon Esports can put up on the board. But BBB setting a very high standard here.
I think Canyon going to come through with around a 12, something just over 12 minutes, actually. They're really...
They'll be that quick, huh?
Yeah, I just get the feeling they're actually... They're trying to even get organized still. I mean, they got this pickup of Williams here at this point, and I think it's kind of blowing the doors off a little bit as they're bringing over the Hino talent at this point. 4.7 on the front. Caroline trying to climb as fast as she can without blowing up the team. And I actually think they could do a sub 12 if they do get things organized. They could have, I'll say. They're going to have to roll on with 4, I think, at this point, as I think Draper, who had a little bit of a holdup with Siri early on, now had to do a little bit too much to get back on terms, and now pushing 4.8. So I don't know if there's maybe she seems to have the fitness to stay with this, but I'm wondering if there's just maybe a little bit of experience situation going on here as to how to draft and stay with the pack without it getting out of control with the avatar. Maybe also I'm not sure what her setup is like. Being a newer addition perhaps to the top end and getting tested out, or that's the other question. Is she testing for the top level right now, or is she just a guest rider is the other question. Like, what are we seeing happening here?
Well, there's a lot of reasons to think the latter. She doesn't have the kit. She's a junior rider. I'm not familiar with her name on the team, so I'm going to guess that yes on that. And she's riding with one of the strongest riders in the world when you talk about Caroline Williams. So this is a huge ask for Draper. She's doing a tremendous job right now. This is incredible from her, actually.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to...
This is unbelievable for an athlete this young to be hanging in there with the speed, because the rest of this team is extremely strong as well. I'm really pulling for her right now. This is Philippa Draper that we're talking about.
Actually, Philippa...
Let's see if she can get onto that wheel.
I think... I'm looking through here. She's a 17-year-old speed skater racing for the Coalition. And from what I'm seeing here, her 20 minutes best, 3.8 from what we're seeing Zwift Racing League back in January 12th. I mean, and this is with riders who, I mean, the reality of a Caroline Williams on a best 20 is 5.3. So, I mean, we're talking a pretty big jump there. Obviously between the two riders here, and she's just holding on, almost able to do so. But now Caroline's going to really turn the heat on here, I think, over the top of this climb to try and get the best they possibly can. And I'm okay with this because it's a practice run almost, for them. I'm okay with them getting a little bit of like, what do we have to do? Get the organization. Don't blow everybody up so much that they're just gone. But at the same time, like, hey, here's what the level is and what we're going to have to do come season 4.
One of the biggest challenges of a team time trial team is getting everybody synced up. No doubt about it.
Stephanie Sigler kicking 7 watts per kilogram to come across, it looks like here. She's going to pull everybody in because of that little bit of an avalanche she caused there. Great to see that.
You know what it speaks to too, Nathan? Is indecision is one of your biggest problems too. Not that that's what's happening here, but you do need that director making a call whether we wait or don't wait, and just it's good for all of the riders to just have a clear understanding of what the plan is right now. You don't want riders pedaling, wondering what we're doing.
Yeah, and when it comes to bike racing, forward momentum wins races. And any moment that forward momentum is not happening because of thoughts or confusion or anything like that, that is seconds that were lost. So the
And,
plan is, are
and
we
wouldn't you
going
say,
forward right now or aren't we? And are we going
amen. And
faster right now or aren't we?
And Nathan, think with the teams as you've gotten better and more experience with teams, how you have to communicate less or there's more understanding. It becomes a natural flow where you don't need to say anything anymore. It's just a nod or even a virtual nod. and that's when you know your team is really starting to move into that the highest echelon of team time trialing. Teams like PO Auto, they barely talk. They grunt. That's it. So it's a few grunts.
So did I was unfamiliar. I didn't know that BBB, B2B, and BBB were from the
Are they
same. I think
related?
they're from the same team and just two splits of it. But I'm not absolutely positive of that. I'm going to
Sounds
maybe
very possible,
assume it
doesn't it?
though, looking at the.
I'm
Yeah,
not a
they're
forensic
all
detective
registered. They're
yet.
all registered for
Yeah.
BBB. Actually, every one of them. So and here out of Sweden, Amy Fitzpatrick and Kitchen Jenny Holm, KT Bauer, Marsha Reeves, as well as
So
Michelle Curie, Michelle Hurley, Sarah Lucas, Susan Walbrook, Teresa Davitt, and looks like Tracy is on here as well. Don't have a last name on that, as well as TP from the BBB. And the BBB team, they're that new team we've been chatting about a lot recently with beautiful,
brave,
brave body, all
brave,
over
beautiful.
40, all over 40 women.
Remember we were joking how the owls just chuckle when they hear about that?
Yeah.
Um, so that's nice to see that I'm not surprised. They've got all that momentum. There's a great vibe around the BBB. So B2Bs, welcome. And it
Or
makes absolute
B2B's
sense.
recent upgrade, it looks like. B2B is their development team where new members can join,
But
feel
they stepped
supported,
up.
learn to race, and they've stepped up to espresso now.
Yeah.
So
Good
obviously,
job.
this team is doing an amazing job with
Killing
their
it. Yeah.
recruitment and the advancements that they're making in the world of Zwift racing for women. So absolutely awesome to see BBB and B2B battling it out in this TTT this week. Currently fourth and second on the day. Not a big difference there. Only about, we're
Hey,
looking at 30 seconds between the two.
you were pretty close on that call you made about Canyon slotting in at 12:11. So that was exactly what you were talking about there. They
It's
are,
essentially a solo time trial of Caroline Williams
and
on the front, just
can I?
hammering today.
Yeah, and this is exactly so, Nathan. I mean, you're never one to brag or boast, but you've been in this situation where you've been the strongest rider who's been invited to be a guest rider on a team. And you have to acknowledge that it's a little tricky when you've got more horsepower than the 5 or 6 other guys. And how do you get them to go faster? And Caroline Williams we're watching even one of the greatest esports riders of all time, Caroline Williams, having to figure out how to best use her power and ability. We're
Yeah, and
watching
she's
her
getting really
right
consistent now,
now.
it looks like. I think they figured
Yeah,
it out a little bit at this
so
point.
she's not going as fast as she can, Nathan. You and I both know that, right? She could go faster, but not keeping the team together. This is really maturity. That's what it really takes sometimes. It's like you can go faster, but it's not helpful. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, and at this point, it does look like it's going to be the
Good
rest
for
of the
her.
riders just holding on at this point as Williams comes over the
You know who's
top
going to
here.
really benefit from this are the top riders on Canyon who are all going to go up a level now. The Sidlicks, the Lejeunes, right? They're going to move. They're going to become 5% better by having Caroline Williams as their teammate. If you follow my logic here, how steel sharpens steel. Well, Caroline Williams is really, really sharp and hard steel.
A little bit of a gap back to Sidlick now at this point with the roll through. Looks
Yeah,
like
we
she
can't keep
is
doing
just going to
this.
get back on terms, perhaps. It was just a little bit of an inattentiveness on the downhill for a moment, it looks like. This extra
Knowing Sidlick,
4.8
that was
wasn't needed it wasn't really needed there. But it looks like she's going to be able to get back on terms. They're going to have to slow down just a tad, though. as Caroline was on the front there for a moment. So we'll see if Stephanie
If
actually
that's
rolls
Sidlick
through.
having
She
that
might just
problem,
roll right on through, actually, and
yeah,
maybe take a pull afterwards.
typically for her, it's like a cat just skittered across her keyboard thing. It wasn't a bio issue; it was a tech issue. I bet. Um, Sidlick is an extreme doctor. Stephanie Sidlick, one of the one of the many high-powered brain people that we have in the Swift community. Yeah, look at her, Nathan. It's interesting how when she came back, she did exactly what you like to see. Rather than just use that effort and tag onto the back of the group, she came through and just brought the speed up a little bit. Cécile Lejeune, the French rider here on Canyon. This is the gold standard out here. We're looking at some checks coming in, remembering that Canyon started last as the top seeded team. They had everyone in front of them. 23:37 is the fastest time there from the BBB. So they're starting to open it up a little bit on the B2Bs, but I have a feeling we're going to have some real battles in the weeks to come here on the WTRL between the BBBs and the B2Bs.
Go ahead and see what Lejeune's going to pull through to 3.6 for a while. Was up in that 5.6 for a little while. Now backing up to 3.6. Caroline's time to come on through at a 4.6. Kirsten Pohl maybe going to be taking actually a poll now out of Germany.
She's
175
very
beats per
strong.
minute. Super strong rider here. And I think they're just kind of now at this point, after a little bit of recovery, reorganization, now they're going to start getting into a rhythm, as you can see here with Canyon Esports.
Kirsten, it's nice to see her back, Nathan. It's been, at least for me, I think she's taken a bit of a break, probably enjoying a beautiful summer there in Germany. But she's a huge talent, extremely consistent and positive, the kind of rider that if I was building an esports team, I would immediately look as a cornerstone, a great example for other riders as well. And just always in for a fight.
And jump on over to our Sox for Watts team out on course in with our frappes and see what kind of times are coming on through with them. Little pretty good participation this week. Sox for Watts odd Sox with 12:38. They're battling with Crush Pod, Evo Comets, and Z Scott Alba. This has been the usual with this category. Sox for Watts have been absolutely dominating. They've showed up again with a pretty stellar roster. Cassie Baldy, Kat Haynes, Donna Watts, Emma Pye. It looks like Fabian Bernard, Julia Hargreaves, and Sally White are all here. It's been them and Crush Pod at the top. Usually, we'll see if Crush Pod can bring back any of those seconds, though, as it's going to be Sox for Watts, this top team. And having Cassie Baldy here, former UK national champ of Zwift, going to make things really difficult on them.
Yeah, that's an interesting mix of names. Some old favorites like Cassie Baldy and Donna Watts, and some new names as well on Sox for Watts. But then you look at Crush Pod, these names are becoming quite familiar. The German Caroline Klaus, Joe Graham, Joanne Ernst, Julia Volkmann, Caroline Strasser. We've had a chance to meet these riders I look forward to doing more of that in the future as well, getting in cam with different teams. Kate Lascelles, Lara Newell, Leanne Daly, and Robin S. making up the Crush Pod team. But this is Sox for Watts, this familiar kit that we're looking at, a team that has certainly legendary status in WTRL. We'll see what their split time looks like as we see again Crush Pod 24:38 fastest time. Z Scott Alba as well, another team, the Scottish team, and it's all Scottish flags for Ashley Jolly, Fee Dav, Kirstine Ross, Lorna Church, Lou Prez, Mahadi Walker, and Susie G, making up that team. That's Z Scott that we're looking at there. Beautiful Scottish flag. World Championship's going to be heading to Scotland in a couple of years.
Really? I had no idea.
Looking forward to that.
Jumping across to our Viennas, as they're super populated this week, and always great to see. You know, that's one of the things that's definitely been a theme here, that we've always liked to talk about is how many introductions there have been to the world of racing and team time trial through specifically the WTRL on the women's side of things. And this speaks to it, the amount of participation that we see in this category across for the Platinum League. Jumping in with the Evo Sparks here.
I know events, Nathan, have strived. There's a couple that come to mind having done very well with female representation, right? Rebecca's Private Idaho, Rebecca Rush, the Red Bull athlete who is known for being the queen of pain. She's a multi-time world endurance mountain bike champion, but winning Leadville, I think, was her signature race. She did that multiple times. Her event is really well known for having 50-50 men and women. But I wouldn't be too surprised if WTRL are world leaders. We talk about on a good week how, 6,000, 7,000 individual racers making up the teams. And I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but I would say that it is pretty darn close to 50-50 men and women. I've never actually really looked at that, but that's the feel that you get, and that feel says a lot.
Yeah, it definitely does. There's definitely a huge amount of participation in this.
It might not be 50-50, but
when it comes down to the reality of the numbers, though, I think, especially within this genre of racing, as well as this category, that you would say specifically introductory women to cycling.
Beginning
this is it.
Esports racing.
I would challenge that anywhere in the world when it comes to cycling, this is probably the highest numbers.
The most inclusive, welcoming, accessible. And, Nathan, we completely agree on this, because I would say that what you've got here are literally thousands of women who are making it easier for other women to follow along and join them because they like the company. They enjoy each other. They want to see more women doing this. There's power in numbers. It's become a straight up movement that we're seeing. And esports deserves a ton of credit for creating that platform where you're not judged by your body type. Or actually, to their credit, Rally Sport is doing a nice thing this week on body image and female body image, and how what's really important is getting out there, doing something, fresh air and exercising. How you look is that's your business. Don't worry about anything else. And this sport is awesome for it. Z-Sun is another team, Nathan. They deserve a real shout out, don't they, for being they're not new to this party. When you talk about Z-Sun, they've been welcoming women to esports for years.
And Z-Sun Hydra with a 27:45, it looks like. And about 15 seconds, 14 seconds up to Kirchner Vienna Latte. Live by Cycling are having a really good ride this week.
Okay.
They started in with that third seed, but they're up in second place and holding up against some of the fastest riders out here. So they are having a really good week and gaining here currently on the Z-Sun Hydras. So Hydras here, this is a very multinational team actually this week from what I'm seeing. Pretty cool to see amongst the Z-Sun here with Anna. It looks like coming out of, is that going to be Iceland, I believe? And then Becky Freeburn, C. Devine, Chantel Burke, Karen Davis, and Maggie Keene. Great to see such a very across a lot of different nations here represented here with
good call on
the
Iceland
Z-Sun team. That one's easy.
You just know that one?
Actually, yeah, I just know that one.
Okay.
You
went to Iceland.
Yeah, that one's like the most.
There.
Yeah, it's like the most recognizable actually out of all of them for me. I kind of faked that I had to guess, but I didn't at all. I was like,
yeah, that's funny.
Iceland.
It kind of like Norway is a little bit the same.
Well, it definitely looks a lot like those.
A little like it.
Those Northern European. Oh yeah, you can
Denmark's
easily
and the Norways and
confuse those because of the cross through the middle, and then which color is it with the cross? I mean, essentially.
That's why Sweden was smart. They went with that yellow so that you don't. Sweden's flag
doesn't have the mix with the red in there. Yeah.
Yeah. The red and the blue that Iceland and Norway and I guess Denmark is red and white, but England is white and red, right? So anyways, we've learned a lot about birds, flags, mountains, and dinosaurs. Um, Actually, we haven't learned as much as
What
we
is
could
going
about that.
on with Liv? I thought that they were having the best ride of their lives. Are they actually split up now? Or no, they've got 4 left. And this is why they're having the
okay.
ride of their lives. It's because they said enough is enough. We're here to win this week. And they just dropped some riders off.
They
Usually
said
they're a
no
team that,
baggage.
usually they're a team
Carry-ons
that waits
only.
up, but not this week. It looks like Cindy to the front, 4.1, and good to see Live by Cycling with a solid time. Will they hold on to second or even chase down the lattes?
Look how close it is. They got Hydra right there, Nathan, 2 seconds back. So Live By is doing the right thing. If they're racing for their best time, well, they've completely committed to that. Good luck out there, ladies. Love seeing it. So Live By Cycling, the team that we're in with right now, they're not that far behind a perennial powerhouse squad, Kirkmeyer, Vienna Latte. Let me give those ladies a shout out, Nathan, as we were just talking about Z-Sun. But Kirkmeyer, this is going to be Andrea Grupp, Astrid Bontzek racing today, Claudia Krupel, Annika Klaus, Heike Moschel, Nicole Brenner Stossel, Nicole Meyer, the Swiss rider on the team. All the rest are German on Kirkmeyer today. Jenny Onskorge and Suzanne Muth making up Kirkmeyer out here. But they're down to, well, I'll let you show me, but it looks like 3, which is not good.
Looks like they started with 3.
Oh, well, if that's the case, 1, it's incredible because they've got our fastest time, and they would be in the mix. So,
yeah, they started with 3. It looks like they came across the line here. So let's see what they can pull off.
Good job,
here.
ladies.
Yeah, so this team specifically.
No rest for these 3.
No, there's two different teams out here for Kirchner. There's Vienna Latte 1 and Vienna Latte 2. Vienna Latte.
So that would be Astrid, Claudia, Annika, and Heike on Kirkmeyer 1, which is who we're with here.
Yep, yes. Claudia, Andrea, and Heike, and then up
there we
ahead,
go.
It'll be the rest of that, the rest of the Kirchner team. So, this should be interesting.
They got a ways.
They can hold on. They do have a ways to go with only 3 riders. I mean, this is going to be a very tough day for them.
It's interesting because when we looked by Live By, Nathan, they only had 4, so it wasn't like they had 8. So not that much better. I'm wondering about Hydra. How was Z-Sun R doing? If I remember, they had 5 the last time. But we will see. This is Aeonian that we're in with now. The Bravas here, and they had a very good time at the first check. So we'll see. I believe they were 24 seconds out at check 1.
Only 24 seconds, tied actually with Kirchner Vienna Latte. Live By Cycling at 14:49 at the first check. Now as things start to come through, though, that first climb that's in there comes right around that 8K mark, actually. So you're not done with the climb when you hit the 8K mark, which really, I think, has a story to tell when you hit the 16K marker. Because
Agreed.
You see what ended up happening on the rest of the climb and whether or not they were able to get things together and push over the top.
That check tells you 4/5 of the story, I think.
Tells you how hard they went out. It doesn't tell you how they're climbing on today. That's for sure. Rockies 14:38. Not a bad time. They were sitting about mid-pack or so at the last check here, starting with 5 riders. Did they let anybody go at this point? I got 4, it looks like, I think, still involved. So I think they did have to let 1 go.
Seems like that's the story for everybody out here. This course is challenging enough that that first time up the climb, this is the only team, Evo Sparks, that's got the kind of numbers that we're seeing in front of us now.
Yeah, and Amanda Hunt, Jenny Douglas, Julia Brooke, Karen Stockbridge, Laura Conway, Lauren Hughes, and Sue Watson all making up this Evo Sparks team out here today. And solid, strongest rider, I think, for them for the TTT today is going to be that Laura Conway for Evo. She's got a solid 3.1 watts per kilogram. that she can throw down for 20 minutes from what we're seeing here. And maybe one of the more experienced riders as well. Level 33 Zwifter, riding for Evolution. Back to June 18th, actually, of 20. Actually, the first thing that this rider ever did was a WTRL team time trial when it comes to racing on Zwift Power, which says how committed
It also
Laura
speaks to what you were
Conway is.
talking about earlier, how it's a gateway, an entry point, WTRL for esports for so many folks.
It's a gateway. That makes me
Gateway.
think it's addicting.
Right.
Be careful with the WTRL, guys.
It's a gateway to
Zwifting.
esports.
Be careful.
Next thing you know, you'll have a problem.
Every Thursday, take
For
over
sure.
your living room.
And you know it's really bad when it's Tuesdays
Thursday.
and Thursdays. Yeah. Yeah, well, there's thousands and thousands of folks that could join your support group with you. That's called WTRL Racing.
Cindy is just this monster climber out here today. Continues to
She's
push on these
scary.
3 to 3.5 watts per kilogram.
Yeah.
And, breaking I think that she's getting yelled at by the rest of the crew maybe out here today as
what
she
a
pushes
beast,
on.
though.
22.6 in, 39.33 completed. She's done a total of 202 meters of climbing. They're over their last climb. Just going to need to be descending now at this point.
Huh. So Z-Sun, our Hydra, just 2 seconds behind Live by Cycling at that last check. But we're pretty close to seeing teams coming through that 24K back in now with the Monsters, Canyon out here. Stephanie Sidlick looking quite comfortable now, isn't she, Nathan? Rolling through in tight formation here. That's Cecile Lejeune. As you see, the French flag, another quality actor in the world of esports. Cecile always in the mix. This is a team that just doesn't miss a step, and Canyon picking up. We're noting that is in the previous broadcast on Tuesday during the Zwift Classics. We were in Innsbruck this week. We were talking about silly season and teams and riders and transfers being made. Well, in real life and in esports, we're seeing that. And this is a big one. Out of the United Kingdom, Caroline Williams moving over to Canyon. This is the first time that we've seen her racing in team time trial formation with this squad. So they're working out some kinks, but it looks like Caroline is it's going to be, well, it goes without saying that she's going to be a huge addition to the team, but the fact that she's out here working right now shows you how committed she is to season 4 of ZRL to me.
Yeah, I'm pressing on to the finish line now. Only 4K to go. And putting in some last efforts over these little bumps. They're going to have the Essies left to go through the sprint point, and then the Essies, and then the rolling downhill to the finish line. Lots of speed and time being able to be made up through there. NZ Bro trying to hold on to some time over the top of them. 23:58 was the last check, so it's still within a minute. So they've done a good job to limit the damage of the reality of Canyon Esports being out here today. And it's actually a little closer than I thought it would be at the end of the day. So BBB, NZ Bro, and Canyon Esports all still in the conversation here.
And remember for NZ Bro that they're really learning a lot. So we've talked about Canyon and how these riders are some of the most established stars in esports. Well, NZ Bro, that's the future. The cheese rollers here, they look great in that all black kit. Just one of those nations that does something special, especially when it comes to international sports, and cycling as a forte for the New Zealanders. So we're going to hear a lot more about NZ Bro, and in this case, the cheese rollers. And it's certainly BBB has got them hot on their tails here.
Yeah, and BBB really like putting them on the back foot a little bit here. Interesting to see at 23:37. So. NZ Bro, let's see what they can bring through here at 4.5 from Kittle. This time, this section can make up a lot, and if BBB went out a little bit too hot, you can see a lot of separation going on here, disorganization, where NZ Bro, not so much. So, even with that time gap, it doesn't matter if things are completely blown apart.
It's really interesting, Nathan, and then conversely, I completely agree with you, and I feel like that's what I would normally be saying. But also, when you see a team blown apart, that tells me that they've been going insanely hard as well, right? So it really is so hard to read the tea leaves. 5 together here, and they're into this last little kick into the finish. So this is going to be BBB done and dusted out here on Watopia's figure 8. Put paid to that one. We'll see if that was enough to better NZ Bro. It looks like Canyon Esports in a league of their own out here today.
A little bit of disorganization from the second BBB team. There is B2B and BBB. I believe this is going to be the second team, unless there was a catch made.
I can already see the formation of B3B is happening somewhere.
And Zebro looking to come on through the Essies as well here and finish up their race. They've only got a K.5 to go, trying to hold off the reality of Canyon Esports. Canyon Esports have really turned it on in the last couple of K here. They've brought back a solid 20 seconds just since we started looking at them on camera here again in the last 5 minutes. So really starting to ramp things up, I think, on the back end of this course, letting caution go to the wind and say, let's just get to the line as quickly as we can. And Caroline just ramped it up into the Essies and is saying, hold on.
Nathan, we've seen some other riders go through this process here. Reminds me of Kristen Kolchinski, to tell you the truth. Learning how to use the incredible talent that you have to make the team faster. And it is a real process out here. It's going to be really fun to watch Canyon as they get it all figured out.
The June to close things down for him, it looks like.
You have to.
Watts per kilogram for just a moment there. 41 kilometers per hour.
No, you don't have to admit anything, Nathan, but I would say that if you're a fan of esports and ZRL, this is actually super interesting and probably good for the competitive balance. I mean, I'm never going to root against Hino. I really like the team. I think they're doing great things. But they've been so dominant, almost undefeated throughout the first 3 seasons of ZRL. To see a rider like Williams move over to Canyon, that's a pretty significant power shift. And it should make racing more exciting.
We'll see. We'll see with whether or not Hino padded their roster.
Who do they get?
Though, too, right?
Right. Who do they add? Yeah, that's scary.
That's the question. If
next thing you know, you find out they've added Godzilla or something onto the team. Because, that's there's a lot of things we don't know, right?
Sidlick, it looks like taking a little bit of a pull through to try and bring things back together. Caroline's just set off the front for that 1 second, and we'll get our times coming in just a few moments here across the board. Nice job there coming in from Canyon as we jump back in with our lattes, as it's gonna be Crush Pod and
Crush Pod works to keep the whole team together, and I really respect what they're all about. So they make sure that all 8 finish, and it looks like they're in really good shape. They've got about 1K left here for the pod.
And so apologies on some of our splits not coming through, everybody. 24 kilometers to go split, I think, is just struggling for us out here today. But we will get the results up on screen as quickly as we can.
It reminds me of the good old days. It reminds me of the good old days, Nathan.
When we're always talking about, the data.
You never know. Could everyone turn off their computers at home? Please stop refreshing.
25:47 was the fastest time. I think Crush Pod walked away with this one in the lattes. As we jump on across as well to the frappes. And as they make their way to the line, I think Sox Watts, Odd Sox are going to have this one in the bag. So we'll leave those 2 categories alone, as those are, if
I took you down,
might be able to do something, but we'll leave those 2 alone as we jump back over toward the Vienna Mochas after these Crush Pods finish up.
I took you down to the old Kenosha Velodrome. Could you do a sub 4-minute 4K for me today, Nathan?
Someone was trying to get me out on the. I'm not.
I want to get you out there.
This was a conversation that was had about getting on the track. Actually, a couple of people were trying. I was like, oh my gosh, you can barely get me out on the cyclocross bike to take on a new genre, and now a track bike. Oh, and you have to learn all the stuff all over again. Gravel was a conversation as well.
Too, yeah.
Oh man.
That's one of the great things about cycling.
The bike just has to show up if I'm doing those ones. The bike just got to show up.
You, Johnny Tomac, was known for being like racing Paris-Roubaix and racing BMX and mountain bikes and everything. And you're kind of the modern spirit of that. Well, let's take a look. I don't think we are going to squeeze out any more splits here, but we're going to have teams finishing pretty quickly at this point now for our Vienna category. We got all the women out on Watopia's figure 8, but most of them have got more than 28 kilometers in the rearview mirror. It's just under 30K of racing out here, so pretty close to the finale in our WTRL week number 122 consecutive. No weeks off, no wimps, no weeks off.
It looks like Vienna Lattes kind of kept things together. Kudos to them with this Kirchmer team. This is going to be the Kirchmer Vienna Latte ones. They had that 14 minute. That's the last time check that we got from them at that 8K mark. So waiting in on that. Nice little bike selection here coming from Nicole out of Switzerland, the lone Swiss rider. The rest of them coming out of Germany. This is the selection I would make personally with that Vengeance 858. Very expensive selection though. A lot of times that's part of the reason why people also don't end up on this bike is because it is extremely expensive.
No such thing as free speed.
Is Nicole, this is gonna Meyer riding for Kirchmer, level 45 Zwifter.
A lot of time out on Zwift. It's paying off here as it looks like. So this is the Vienna Latte 2 team, which is quicker than the one. Well, at the last checkpoint, anyways, they were quicker. See if they can keep things together. It's a lot of Kirchmeier jerseys on our screen right now. They are through the tough part here. Roll it on down to Ocean Boulevard in the finish line. They didn't have that much time to play with, talking about the Kirchmeier VL2 team, as Live by Cycling was only 12 seconds back. We'll see if at the
Nicole,
last check, anyways.
Meyer a little bit. She's recent addition, it seems like, to the world of racing on Kirchmer.
Is this the Swiss? Does she have a WTRL champion helmet on there, or was I
double check? We'll have to double check. We'll get back to Meyer.
I should say ZRL helmet.
Yeah, maybe.
It kind of looks so. There's a new helmet that they have for winning riders on the teams that were the champions of season 3 of ZRL. I just noticed that helmet for the first time the other day. It's white with a little bit of flare. But that might be a different helmet. That is a different helmet.
We're looking at a different rider here. So, Nicole?
A different rider. So
he is wearing the helmet. He definitely won that helmet and is a part of, and that's what I was looking at with her actually, was she jumped in on April 13th, it looks like, to the women's EMEA Division 4. For the Kirchner racing team, and I am not seeing any other racing actually.
She jumped. Well, good
to that.
Well,
so great.
So jumps in, helps a team win the ZRL, gets the helmet,
and
now
then
doing
after
some work
that,
in their team time
1
trial.
month later, was a part of a WTRL team time trial platinum Vienna Platinum League for this team, and has done that almost every week since. So
she's a rider to watch, without any doubt.
Big pickup here for
that's exciting.
For the Kirchmer team, it looks like, and a huge addition that's kept them, I think, at this top level.
I think that they're into that. It used to be you'd say, oh, they have a couple hundred riders. I think they're over 300 riders now, as a part of that Kirchmeier movement. The Germans, the Austrians, and obviously Swiss. I don't know of any Americans on the team yet. Someone will be the first ever Kirchmeier American. They're probably ready to reach out to me.
From Live by Cycling there. Loving the chat as it comes through. It's going to be, though, maybe another repeat here. We'll have to wait and see. Good to see Melissa from Team Vegan hanging out in the chat over
hi, Melissa.
YouTube. Great to see you as always. James Barnes
Charlotte
as well is hanging
Backus
out
today.
there. Charlotte Backus is in there, it looks
Yeah.
like. And,
Just saw that. Charlotte's a great person. She was just out racing at Steamboat, doing the big gravel race there. Big weekend last weekend.
We should have had her on. We should have had her on and had a conversation about that. What's going on with
it sounds like they're going to be back soon enough. She's saying that her 2024 team is planning on getting back into the WTRL, so we will be anxiously awaiting their return.
Well, looks like we're good to go with the results as they're coming in. That's something we're going to have to add maybe, especially in these summer months, a little bit of what's happening in real life guests for the backstories a little bit more, to bring that little bit of human interest into it all. Now, the fastest times that we have seen out here, a few of them were broken today, which is great to see. And we'll take a look and see how that ended up playing.
What is going on with that? All things considered, Nathan, it's a slow time of the year. So week after week, we're seeing records being broken. The team's just getting better and better. How else can you explain it?
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually. Why is it that the teams are, smashing these records during this time of year? There may be a little bit to do with
news
pack dynamics. The pack dynamics, yeah, that's what James Joseph Barnes is saying.
Agree.
Perhaps might be a part of that, but there also might be some of the ways that the teams are figuring out how to work within the rules to have the fastest teams they possibly can within the category. Might be it as well. If you're able to mix and match a little bit more, so there is that. So yeah, it's interesting to see.
As time goes on, the
faster
teams.
Times.
And you'd think as time goes on and riders Zwift more, the equipment on the teams would become better as well. They'd have access to more Tron bikes or more Bang 858s.
100%. Yeah, that's a great point as well. As people upgrade their equipment, that's going to be a pretty big one there.
It's a factor.
So it is a factor. Definitely a factor. All right, I think we've got some results coming on in. Let's go ahead and take a look on the men's side of things. Here's how things played out. As it is going to be... quickly to make sure we got it all correct. And on the Dopio side of things, NZ Bro hold on to it with a world record, actually, with a 37.46. Aero Masters 39.55, and Z-Sun Hercules come on through in the Dopios. And with the Espressos, eat dirt at the top, Dave.
Yeah, you can see that 38.42 was the fast time. That was out of Zone 1. Platinum League for the Waffles. The Waffles, the fastest that we were watching out there, is they did come in 2 seconds quicker than INC Euro Aliens for our third fastest time on the day. CrowdGen Gulls fourth. Adam Racing Team Photons fifth. Evo Warriors, as it stands right now, the sixth. Evo Espresso 7. Dirt Diggler 8. WMZ All-Stars 9th, and then our 10 fastest times includes out of Zone 6, so they would have just finished in Coalition with a 40.37. That is your Espressos.
And with our Frappes, Kirschmer Frappe 140.43 out of Platinum League. Hazama no Kai out of Zone 2. I've never heard of that team. Great job taking down the second fastest time on the day, though, in the Frappes. Eat Dirt 007 coming on through for third. R3R ACDC and the Frappes for fourth place. Ui right there in four. Fifth coming out of, I believe that's the South African team there. Vikings Valguy there in sixth. Innovation Alien Invaders in seventh. Innovation Alien Battlers in eighth. Cryogen Piwaka Wakas with their Piwaka Watts in ninth. And the RR Rapid Rhinos. Very close racing. Only a little over a minute difference between them, but a walk away from Kirchmer Frappe 1.
And in our lattes, it's Vikings Valhalla, the gold standard in the Platinum League with that 43.19. That's going to be 1 minute, 10 seconds quicker than Eat Dirt 2. RR Woolly Rhinos, third fastest time. Kirkmeyer Latte 3, and fourth fastest spot out of Zone 5. And then you can see a bunch of our Platinum League teams coming through with the mighty team Type 1 Lancettes, ATP Racing Nitrogen 6, TFC Lancaster 7, ATP Camaros in 8th, ODZ the DOC, that's the Destroyer of Cookies, 9th fastest time, and then racing to start the day off, the Dirty Rascals Misfits, 10th fastest time there. That's our lattes here on week 122.
And the Mocha's TSZ Cannibal that is another new team. Obviously with the Team Swedish Swifters. Good to see them jumping in with Zone 4, taking it down. So I wouldn't be surprised because they were in Zone 4 if they jump in with the Platinum League next week. The Smarter Rhinos get upset then, actually, with a second place against somebody who was not in the Platinum League with it. Adam Racing Team
Upset Rhinos? That does not sound good.
There's a pretty big gap, actually, back to Adam Racing Krypton. So we'll see if there's some category differences that end up playing out here, too, as WTRL takes a look through it. But right here, this is what our preliminary results look like. And Golf come through for 4th. Victor Trois there for 5th. It's going to be Cryogen Robbins for 6th. Giant Canyon, Holy Roller 7th. Zert Iota in for 8th. Now, is that a dirt team or is that a dirt? I wonder. I have to do some research on that one. Roto Koala is followed up by WCC Reagan. And then the situation here, Canyon only by 15 seconds though, Dave. Interesting.
That's stunningly close, to be honest. Holy cow, BBB in our Platinum League. You can see the silver standard at this moment, but Canyon Esports, the Queens, up there on top with the 43-26. Interesting day, no doubt about it here for week 122. And Z-Pro, the Cheese Rollers, 3rd fastest time. Wahoo Lecour Etoile in 4th. B2B 5th fastest, and then Aero 1. Our Australian friends racing out of Zone 1, 6th fastest time. You'll hear more about those women. So that's our Vienna Espressos.
And with the Vienna Frappe, Sox Watts Outsox come on through for first place as usual. Able to take down Crush Pod, but Crush Pod hot on their heels. One of these weeks, I think that battle is going to flip. Sox Watts better watch out. I think Crush Pod are really vying for it here. Evo Comets come back in for 3rd. They're in 2 minutes back, a little over. TSC Cinnamon Rolls there in 4th. WZ Scott Alba in 5th. And WMZ Diamonds in for 6th.
All right, let's see what we've got going on. Then is we talked about the vegans earlier today, but it's Crush Pod 2 up on top in our Platinum League with the 48.08 in the Vienna Lattes. WTRL Watts UPC with the 2nd fastest time. Z-Sun R Pluto 3rd quickest, and that's all Platinum League. Then we go to Zone 7 for the ART Electrons. That's Adam Racing Team with the 50.09. Z-Sun R Persin 5th fastest. TBR Smile on 6th, and then there's the Vegan Bees, 7th fastest time out of Zone 4. That's our Vienna Lattes today.
And this was our largest participation on the women's side for the Platinum League. Great to see out here today with the Kirchner Vienna Lattes taking it down, though, by a solid 44 seconds. Rave C Euro didn't get the feature out there today so much, so good to see them out there. And a big shout out to Rave C Euro. Live by Cycling had an amazing run today, holding on for 3rd place. The Faster After 50 crew killing it out there. And the Viennas there, Iona and Bravas hold on by only 3-second difference there, it looks like, between them and Live by Cycling. They take down 4th there. NBZ Sun Hydra in 5th. Rockies in 6th. Kirchner Vienna Latte in for 7th there. HDR Cruzettes in 8th. Fearsome in for 9th. And Adam Racing Team Ions there in 10th place. Solid battles, though, there between 6th and, I would say, 3rd place, really. All within about a little over 30 seconds. And, again, nice job to Live by Cycling showing up this week. Solid ride. Number 123, we're out in Yorkshire. Well, interesting. It says Yorkshire, but then it says Road to Ruins. So we'll see which one we're actually on. I have a feeling that is going to be Yorkshire. I know that there was a change-up, so I'll wait and see. I might be getting an update here in just a moment. We'll let you know in just a little bit. Of course, you can always head on over to www.racing to sign up. It's going to be next week. Next week, these are the things that are happening. Actually, what's happening over the next 7 days or so, actually. Obviously, we've got Trofeo Bologna, and watch out World of Zwift on Monday. You'll be able to catch that Kristen Kolchinski behind the avatars look, Dave Towle meets, as well as the World of Zwift run through iconic moments in Zwift racing knowledge for myself over on World of Zwift. And then tomorrow we've got our initial pilot here of the ZCL workout series featuring Kristen Armstrong. Week 1, threshold to VO2 3-step ramps. You get to see me suffer. Essentially is what happens while Kristen coaches you all through it.
That's going to be great.
It's a live workout, everyone. So this is a new pilot. We're piloting something and trying something different where you are getting live coaching here on the broadcast, actually, with Kristen, while you're watching somebody go through the paces and have a conversation about why we're doing what we're doing and how it works in the body. And obviously with one of the most experienced coaches in the world when it comes to racing bikes, but also someone who can relate at every level. Right, like mom.
I agree.
Woman who entering into coaching people. I think of all ability levels. I know a little bit about Kristen and her coaching. She coaches at the highest level, obviously, as pumped out world champions, and being of herself, obviously as well. And then to the just introductory level, Dave.
It's really rare that you find an athlete who's a champion in their sport who's also a world-class coach. As a matter of fact, you can almost count on one hand the number of athletes that can do that. And Kristen has, her reputation amongst the current athletes today. She's the most desired coach to have. If you look at the athletes that work with her, it's a who's who of women's endurance sports, without any doubt. And she even is one better, Nathan. She's not a great athlete and a great coach. She's also a great scientist of the sport and aerodynamics as well. She and her husband, Joe, they know more about how to keep a bike slippery and a human being slippery as well. So, yeah, that's incredibly cool. What a great team you and she will make. That's going to be a lot of fun for people.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to have a ton of fun tomorrow. Well, fun, type 2 fun, some of it as I suffer through it. As I suffer through it. Yeah, as I make sure it'll be my openers before racing on Saturday. So good stuff, really good stuff. We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Make sure to check that out. The event is live. Head over to the companion app. You'll be able to see it underneath the Zwift Community Live workout that is on there. And then obviously sign up for the racing next week for the classics. That's going to be it for us for this week, everybody. Check out the results over at WTRL.racing as usual. One other shout out, Dave, because we were working on it today. The ALZ ride at the end of the month.
Yeah,
that'll be really great. Happening on Sunday.
Week from this weekend, right?
Yep,
I'm actually headed to a Belgian waffle ride going on in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm leaving right after this broadcast, but you're absolutely right. Something to really look forward to. There's been a lot of attention lately. Alzheimer's is starting to, I would say, get the attention that it deserves is something that we need to focus on and work on. And our broadcast will help you learn a lot more about that and how you can get involved and meet some really cool people along the way.
So, yeah, right.
It's powerful stuff.
ALZ, you can sign up for that on the 29th. Is when that's happening, Sunday the 29th. Make sure to check that out and go through your support. And we'll be here taking you through that ride and what ALZ is all about. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. Head on over to WTRL Racing. Hit those follow buttons. Do all the good things for the channels if you want notifications. And as always, ride on.